Hi there. Well, it's been a few months since I've had a roof leak video, so here we are again. Today I'm at the daycare. I had a little video sent to me today to show that they had a leak. The video didn't show me where the water was coming from, and so I came out here to take a look. These are the things that I've found.
Buckle up your tape as I give you a day in the life of facilities maintenance.
So when it comes to something like this, a non-destructive moisture meter is your best friend. Now the building itself consists of 3 modular buildings put together side by side. Just inside the front door of the building, as you turn to your right, you can see this little wall that is actually a division between 2 halves joined together. On the left side of that opening, you see where it says 17%, and on the right side, you see a couple spots where it says 99%. The 99% is what I'm worried about right there, because levels this high are a pretty good indication that this is the source of the problem.
So after checking out as much as I could inside the building, I threw my ladder up here, and as I was climbing up here, I could see where water was dripping down onto the deck down below there. Clearly this is a roof leak. Now, it probably wouldn't be leaking if the downspout, which is right there, was cleared, but it's not. And so we're ending up with a bit of a lake up on the roof here. And I have suspected in the past that there are issues with how the EPDM membrane was installed underneath that flashing there. And I've also wondered about that one right there. I think we've confirmed that there are issues with those and that this will involve, at the end of the day, a roof repair. Hopefully it hasn't been leaking for so long that it's actually caused damage in behind there, but I suspect that we are going to ultimately need to pull apart some of that wall and maybe do some drywall replacement, because when something is wet like that over a prolonged period of time, paper is organic. You're going to get mold on the back side of that wall. So I'm going to head over there and clean that downspout, although I can't. There's 6 inches of water here, so I'm not stepping off here. I'm going to have to move my ladder to a different location where I can get up on some dry roof. Love this ladder. All it takes is one leaf. That's impressive, eh? Well, this will stop the leak into the building. So while this current problem is right over there, there was some dampness on a ceiling tile at this end of the building as well, right over here. And I suspect that every single one of these flashing junctions, how the membrane was done underneath there, was done incorrectly. I mean, I don't get this. What purpose does this piece serve right here? It's not even glued down to the actual roof membrane. So what Mark and I are going to have to do when the weather gets nicer is pull off this flashing, clean this up, and take a look at the membrane and how things were put together underneath here, and make any necessary repairs, because otherwise these periodic leaks are just going to be something that we have to keep coming back to deal with. But we can't be here every day, and these are what the actual issue is. Hi there, welcome back up to the roof of the daycare. It's probably been about a month or so since I've been up here and dealt with that overflowing downspout drain where the water was getting up underneath the flashing. So essentially what I've got up here are two problems. There's a primary problem, and that is the downspouts are getting clogged, which leads to a secondary problem, which actually is more serious than the primary problem, although if I can address the primary problem, the secondary problem probably won't occur anymore. And that is when the water fills up on the roof like a bathtub because it's not going down the drains, what ends up happening is it gets up underneath the flashing and leaks down into the building. So whatever they did under the cap flashing and the way they put the roof membrane together obviously isn't sealed. It wasn't done properly. Maybe they just overlapped it without actually sealing it, seam sealing it. I don't know. We should find out at a later time if we dig into that. But this primary issue, these drains, I have an idea for that. And I'm squinting because it's really bright up here. I've got 6 drains up here. Therefore, I have 6 baskets that you would normally see on top of a flat roof. Mind you, they would be affixed with a collar setup. I'm not going to put a collar in this roof. I don't want to cut into the EPDM membrane any more than I have to. And I think that what I'm going to do here will suffice. I'm literally going to stick them down to the roof around the drain hole using butyl sealant. I'll clean the area first, then I will stick them down. Once that cures, unless somebody comes along and kicks them, they won't go anywhere. And if it turns out that that doesn't work so well and I actually have to put proper compression ring mounts for the actual baskets on these drains, it won't be a 2 steps backward, 3 steps forward approach. It'll just be put the rings in, because there won't be anything that I have to undo. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's get started. So essentially that's it, one done. Let me give you a closer look. I cleaned the area off with weathered membrane cleaner first, just to make sure I'm adhering straight to the EPDM. Then I put a nice fat bead of butyl on the basket itself and I stuck it down in place. Once that cures, it should be stuck there. But now, instead of the little drain hole getting plugged up in there, it can still get plugged up, but there's far more surface area around the edge of this basket now. And so the chances of that getting plugged up are far less likely than they were previously. So that's one here. I have one there. And I have one on that corner over there. And that's all 3 for this side. And then on the far end over there, I've got 3 more. Well, those maples look nice. We've got a Japanese maple and a Canadian maple, I guess. And if I look off between the 2 trees here and what's going on in the distance, that is the construction of a new middle school. which will be open September 2027.
Now let me show you the biggest design flaw issue in this whole roof.
You've got the roof drain right here, and it gets plugged up, and then the water starts to rise. But then you've got the overflow scupper, basically backup drain system right here, higher than where the two halves of the modulars are joined together. They weren't really thinking. You can see this water line here. Comes up to here and then starts to leak through underneath here. It never makes it to this line here because it'll overflow this before it gets this high, making this completely useless. Were this down here, we probably wouldn't be having this issue. Anyway, that'll be something that I attend to later on. Right now, I'm just trying to protect these downspouts from getting clogged so easily.
It's pretty dumb, actually. If you take a look at these knockouts where the overflow drains are, every single one of them is higher than the curb where the halves of the building join together. Or technically, thirds of the building.
And that's it. They're done. Hopefully that eliminates stage one of this issue. I think it should work. I mean, unless somebody comes up here and physically kicks them to dislodge them from the actual membrane itself, they're stuck down. Once this butyl sealant cures, they're not going to go anywhere. And so they should serve to do the job they need to do. So, with that said, hope you learned something. If nothing else, how sometimes you need to do a repair in the field to take care of a problem and be a little bit improvisational in the process. Thanks for watching. See you next time.